Hello, I'm Stan Copeland, the pastor of Lovers Lane United Methodist Church, and this is The Hope Connection.
And I am Dee Dee Jones, an associate pastor here at Lovers Lane United Methodist Church, and we are so glad you have joined us today, and this is a really good one you do not want to miss, as we get to interview both of these icons talking about ministry for 25 years together, and they're still living to tell the story.
Long time.
This is pretty crazy. So I want to start from the beginning. I want to know how this relationship happened.
Well, Donna
here.
cleaned it up a lot in her book.
Okay.
You know,
That's true.
I'm enough.
That is true.
She tells the story in this book, but it's the Cleft Notes. I'll say that. But I came into this conference. I was in a conference that was Houston-based, right. And here I am in a conference that was Dallas-based. And so the staff here at Lovers Lane needed to be rebuilt in 1998 when I came. And so I was really looking for pastors within the conference who could help me get my feet on the ground in the conference and help me know kind of the ins and the outs of the conference. And I was at an annual conference, maybe the very first one, and Donna Whitehead was the chair, if you can believe this, the chairman of the finance committee of the annual conference.
Hey, a big time role.
And she got up there and she was just smiling and giving a finance report, and everybody was just there just drinking it in. Nobody had a question, and she did have one of our, well, he was the director of our finance office for the conference, and he was filling in the blanks. But Donna was really putting on the dog. Exactly. And I thought, man, she needs to be on our staff. And I wonder if I could get her. And then I heard that she'd been at Custer Road in Plano for nearly 20 years. Wow. So I decided I'd at least get in the hunt. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. If there's one thing all of us on the staff know about Stan, it's that he is very, very good at pursuing people for his staff. Mm-hmm. I would be willing to bet there's not one person you have ever really pursued that's on and that didn't come on to our staff. He's very good at it.
Oh, yeah, there's been some.
Maybe a few. But I had decided, no, there's no way I'm going to leave. I'm very comfortable. I love what I'm doing. People love me, and I'm not going anywhere. And until he kind of shows up and says, well, you might want to think about this. And I said, no, I'm not interested. But a couple of things happened. I began to get in touch with that restlessness I talked about before, that I wanted something more. And I looked at my age. I was 52 at the time. And I thought, if I'm going to make any kind of move, this is the time to do it. So I thought, okay, I'll talk to this guy and see what and so he went into, you can have this and this, and we're going to create this new whole mission field, and I think you would be good at it. And the conference had told you that you needed an executive pastor, yeah. And that and you thought, after you saw me do that report, that I could do that. Well, I was not good at that at all, and that did not work. It took about.
She said it. I didn't.
I said it. It took about 3 months to realize that's the wrong place for me, and so it was false advertising in a way. But I was really good
on your part.
On my part, yes. But I was really good at some other things that the church needed. So then we started on that. But I had a little crisis about the second month. We had this retreat, and we went to this ranch where all of us were going to talk about the future. Mm-hmm. And Stan was up there doing a great job, but he began to talk about doing things that I was not. I was still into that we got to grow this Sunday morning worship. And he was talking about doing creative things on Thursday night and all of that. And I spoke up and said, don't you think we should focus on Sunday morning? And everybody on the staff got really quiet. I didn't mean to challenge him, but I kind of did. and
she basically said, that's a terrible idea.
Right.
She's still doing that.
Sometimes she's right, but not always.
Well, it was, and then I got real uncomfortable because I realized, the staff started saying, oh, but we love Stan. We think he's right and all of this. And so So I stopped, and that night I thought, ooh, I think I might have made a mistake. This may not be the right place for me. But before the weekend was over, he told me, I'm not going to do all that creative stuff I talked about. We will work on Sunday morning. And I was going, oh, good. And it was the first time I realized that it was going to be in a relationship in which we came from different places, but we both had this really strong passion for church and for growing the church.
Right.
And we did grow it and have grown it with all the rest of the staff. Not necessarily just in numbers, but we've done it in lots of other ways.
Yeah. Well, let me defend myself because you were very wrong. You know what I saw in this church, and what I think Donna says in the book that she came to learn through this church, is you can't come here with a suburban church mindset and expect that you can just do that and it's going to work here. And I had already been here 2 years. I'd already learned that this was a very different church. And we had to approach it in a very different way. And then the more you dig into the history, you see that it's been a little weird from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. But about the worship that Donna was so wrong about, we had 3 worship services, 8:15, 9:30, and 11, and they were identical. Okay. And they were lackluster to some degree. Donna's right about that. But what we needed was an additional worship service. We needed contemporary service. So what became Crosswalk, Dee Dee, that you have championed and are the pastor of, that really was born. It was actually born on the Sunday after 9/11 in 2001, which was, Donna remembers that too. Yes. We were building, and Asbury wasn't completed yet when we started what has become Crosswalk. And but anyway, so now that I've proven again that Donna is wrong about that, I do want to say that that she has brought so much to this staff and has done so much in different ways. And you know, one of the things that after we knew she was a failure at being an executive pastor, we had a foundation that was fairly small, had about $2.2 million in it, and we just had a capital campaign and designated some for the foundation. So we talked Donna into being the director of the foundation. And one thing we quickly came to know, and I think she did learn this at Custer Road, she's not afraid of asking people for money. She loves to ask.
I believe in it.
Yeah, that's a little weird
Yeah,
too. Donna.
it's a little different.
But how did you get that kind of passion for stirring that generosity within the church?
Most people don't like doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you do it so well.
I think it's good for people spiritually. I mean, and I know that that's the part of my ministry that I enjoy the most, is helping people grow spiritually. And when we challenge people by asking, would you like to invest in this with not your heart and also with your money, it's a time to evaluate and prioritize and to ask God what God wants and then to listen. So it's an opportunity to have a kind of a renewal of your relationship with God. That's why I love it so much. It's been good in my own life that way, and it's been good, for other reasons.
When I think about our successes of working together for 25 years, I've been here 27 years, we've had 5 capital campaigns.
Right. It's been amazing.
In those years, and we've actually raised nearly $60 million.
Right.
Because this church's campus was in dire need of repair. It hadn't had much attention in 2 decades, really. And so I think the Lord brought us together on staff to do just that, to raise money from a very generous congregation so that this church would have a campus that could actually, well, now we house 5 different corporations, including the church.
Right.
And so, that's the thing I quickly found out how gifted Donna was in the area of stewardship, in the area of fundraising. And so I think that when our day here is done, mine's fast approaching, we'll look back on that era of 25 years, 27 years, has been a real important time of growth and development of this campus, and I could not have done it without Donna, and it was a real team approach.
Thank you.
I think the congregation knows that, but I certainly know it, and I think the Lord really used us in that way in this church.
There is no doubt. As a staff person, getting to follow in your shoes they're big shoes to fill. But they're also shoes that are wide because you guys have opened such wide doors for us to walk. Yeah. And I think about that a lot in what you have done, because we aren't the church on the corner,
right,
where everybody's just going to go because that's where you are. We are a church that you have to be there intentionally,
yeah,
right,
yes.
Yeah,
and you guys have created a place, and so it doesn't run like other churches either.
No, it doesn't. You know, the foundation, when I got here, they had $2 million or a little over in it, and it was, shh, don't tell anybody we have any money, because they might not give to the church if they know we have some money.
Right.
And it was very conservatively invested. Mm-hmm. And when we made the move of putting Donna as the director, can you imagine Donna following that particular mindset? And we had already come out of the box and said we can't build buildings without endowing them, because that's going to be very important. And the different ministry and outreach opportunities that the foundation allows us to do beyond the budget. And by the time Donna's tenure was up with the foundation, it was well on its way to growing. And today, I think we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million, maybe more, that's under investment, and that is going to bless this church in perpetuity, really.
Absolutely.
And Donna was a catalyst for that. And
thank you.
And, even to this day, people look back at when the foundation started growing, and it was when we made that move of putting her in the driver's seat.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I think I want to say something good about Stan. I think that would you agree with this?
Everybody tune in.
Yeah, everybody tune in.
Good about me.
I want to see if you'd agree with this. I think a turning point in our working relationship, and a turning point for the church came in 2005, 5 years after I'd come here, when we did have some conflict. It was pretty. Really pretty heavy duty conflict, and he was on sabbatical when it occurred, and I was in charge. So it was a true test of whether we were going to blame each other or not for what happened. We could have easily cut off from one another, and that would have not been healthy. But Stan stayed with me and actually came back and came from his sabbatical. That part was not good. Was extremely articulate, and basically he and the staff parish took care of me in that. Instead of, even though they could have said, Donna, you could have done this differently, they supported me totally. They supported you totally, but you supported me totally, which was a key turning point, because I could have really gotten into that. Could have gone a lot of different ways, and it ended up being very, very good. And that year, you remember, at the end of the year, we passed, just maybe like this year, we passed one obstacle after another and raised more money in December that year than we had ever done before. And not that money is the factor, but it was the congregation's way of saying, we believe in this church, we believe in both of you, we believe in that kind of leadership. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't like to think of that time because it was a really painful time, but I think a lot of pastors can resonate with going through a time of real challenge. If they stay long enough. And I'd been in my 7th year. I guess you could call it the 7-year itch or something. But when this conflict broke out, I was really ready to leave. And I didn't know if I was ready to leave ministry or just leave this conflict. And I think that's always the temptation, especially if you know there's other places you could go. But I remember when I talked to my bishop, Rhymes Moncure, and I was at the end of the road. And I called him, and I was trying to explain, things are all right. A family had left the church, and I knew that word would get out, and I was, just kind of bemoaning a little bit and saying, but, things are all right, and it's going to be okay. And he read me like a book, and he just started laughing. Mm-hmm. He just laughed, just a raucous kind of laughter. And then he said, "Stand, stand, stand. Lover's Lane ain't your church. Lover's Lane ain't anybody else's church." And he named a name or two. He said, "Lover's Lane is God's church." Wow. And you go right back down there to God's church, and you continue to serve. And that saved my ministry. But what Bishop Moncure said in an instant that has stuck with me all these years, that really was the most important lesson I think I've ever learned, that the church isn't my church, it's God's church. Donna reinforced that with her encouragement. She's been a true confidant, really. Thank you. And the one that I could go to, because we've been here together for so long, one I could go to when I needed a pick-me-up, I needed an encouragement, or an honest opinion. An honest opinion, and also to hatch new ideas or to try out an idea. She's not always right, for sure. But I know that I will get an honest opinion, and if it is a good idea, I know I'll get encouragement, and so I've appreciated that.
It's hard to have those sometimes, though, isn't it? It's good to have someone on your back that will say, "I don't agree."
You've got to have it, and her, her experience in the church. She's been in ministry a couple of years longer than I've been ordained 43. She's been ordained 44.
That's right.
And so I've appreciated that wealth of experience that she's had.
Mm-hmm. So I want to close with this, because we have just a minute.
Yeah.
For each of you to answer, what is your hope for Lover's Lane for tomorrow? The future. What is your hope? Because if anybody can read what that could be, it's you two.
Yeah. I want Donna to go first, and for once I'll have the last word.
I'd love to go first. I think we have to be a voice, a strong, consistent, faithful voice of truth, of optimism, and of love. Mm-hmm. And we have to say that again and again and again, especially right now in our country and in our city and in our state. Mm-hmm. We have to speak for truth, for hope, for love, and for being faithful to the gospel. And that is what we're known for, and that's what we need to continue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that Dallas and the greater Dallas area really needs Lover's Lane, and really has for many, many decades. Our ministry to alcoholics that was born in the 1940s. Today we're building a house across the street that will be a state-of-the-art building that will house the largest recovery ministry, classical AA-type ministry in the world. Mm-hmm. And so I think we just need to remind ourselves that the metrics that Lover's Lane is measured related to God is the metrics of life change. Mm-hmm. We may not have the largest number in worship. We may not have the largest youth or children's department. We may not measure up like a lot of churches do, but we need not to dwell on that which is not the metrics that God holds forth. It's that life change metrics. Yes. And the value of stories and telling stories that come out of true life-changing situations, in some regards, true life-saving situations. Mm-hmm. That's this church's growing edge, because it is its culture. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
So can I say thank you to both of you?
Well, thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of this amazing church, thank you for all that you have done.
Thank you.
Because you guys have paved the way for so much of that to be done. You've listened to the Holy Spirit first and foremost. Mm-hmm. And then you have allowed the Holy Spirit to really move in that. And we thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And this is the Hope Connection, and I've really enjoyed talking with Donna and about Donna in this particular feature. So hope to see you again soon. Thank you for being here.